so after a lot of seeking, I have found something. So that was what it had said in the Old Testament about slavery. So then in the New Testament, in John chapter 13, I'm going to just skip to the end because it's relevant. It says, okay, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. So, actually, yeah, the whole thing right there, it explicitly says this too. So, what the Bible then says is, like, all of the stuff that happened in the Old Testament doesn't really matter. All of it goes back to this one commandment that Jesus gave, because it says, Jesus said, now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and glorify him immediately. Little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. You will seek me, and as I said to the Jews, where I am going, you cannot come. So now I say to you. And there it is. And so I want to read this whole thing, because it's like it says it explicitly, so that we don't have to say, oh, well, we're just making excuses. It actually does say this. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And supper being ended, the devil having already put it into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, rose from supper and laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself. After that he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. Then he came to Simon Peter, and Peter said to him, Lord, are you washing my feet? Jesus answered and said to him, what I am doing you do not understand now, but you will know after this. Peter said to him, you shall never wash my feet. Jesus answered him, if I do not wash you, you have no part with me. Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Jesus said to him, he who is bathed needs only to wash his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you. And see, that's a really good example right there. You are clean, but not all of you. Right. But he who is bathed needs only to wash his feet. So it really does depend on how you look at it. And Jesus does this a lot, and he says it a lot, that it's a parable. He who is bathed needs only to wash his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you. So in other words, it seems to me that what he's saying is that he's washing his feet, but he expects him to wash his own hands and his own head. And see, doesn't that make more sense then? That's what he's saying, is he's setting them free. He's not going to tell them exactly what to do and micromanage every single thing like Moses did. He's setting them free. For he knew who would betray him. Therefore he said, you are not all clean. So when he had washed their feet, taken his garments, and sat down again, he said to them, do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Most assuredly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is he who is sent greater than he who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do these things. Blessed are you if you do them. I do not speak concerning all of you. I know whom I have chosen. but that the scripture may be fulfilled, he who eats bread with me has lifted up his heel against me. Now I tell you, before it comes to pass, you may believe that I am he. Most assuredly I say to you, he who receives whomever I send receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. Now I think that's the most important passage right there. Most assuredly I say to you, he who receives whomever I send receives me. Now, how has he done this? Is it then necessary for us to say the name Jesus Christ in order to be saved? No, it's about the Spirit, not the letter of the law, but the Spirit. How could he send people after he is dead? Well, certainly not in the flesh. It's through the Spirit. So that's how it gets rid of all of that bullshit that's in the Old Testament about slavery and selling children and all that. So Jesus gets rid of all that and sets them free from the letter of the law into the spirit of the law. When Jesus had said these things, he was troubled in spirit and testified and said, most assuredly I say to you, one of you will betray me. Then the disciples looked at one another, perplexed about whom he spoke. Now there was a leaning on Jesus' bosom of one of his disciples whom Jesus loved. Simon Peter therefore mentioned to him to ask who it was of whom he spoke. Then, leaning back on Jesus' breast, he said to him, Lord, who is it? Jesus answered, It is he to whom I shall give a piece of bread when I have dipped it. And having dipped the bread, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. Now after the piece of bread, Satan entered him. Then Jesus said to him, What you do quickly. But no one at the table knew for what reason he said this to him. For some thought, because Judas had the money box, that Jesus had said to him, Buy those things we need for the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. Having received the piece of bread, he then went out immediately, and it was night. So when he had gone out, Jesus said, Now the Son of Man is glorified, and God glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and glorify him immediately. So again, he's affirming this is in spirit, not in objective physical world, because the testimony wasn't fulfilled yet. Jesus Iscariot didn't yet betray him in the physical world, but he did betray him in spirit. So there wasn't yet an unfolding of that act manifested yet in the world, but it was intent inside Judas Iscariot's soul to betray Jesus. So what that means is that all we have to do to follow Jesus is to love one another. And then he says this explicitly, Little children, I shall be with you a little while longer. You will seek me, and as I said to the Jews, where I am going you cannot come, so now I say to you, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this we all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. Simon Peter said to him, Lord, where are you going? Jesus answered him, Where I am going you cannot follow me now, but you shall follow me afterward. Peter said to him, Lord, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for your sake. Jesus answered him, Will you lay down your life for my sake? Most assuredly I say to you, the rooster shall not crow till you have denied me 3 times. And I was actually at the point myself of denying Jesus, because I was like, well, how the fuck can the Bible be good if it's condoning slavery? And I kept looking and I kept looking and I kept looking until I found that. And that seems to have explained it to me, is God is a spirit of loving kindness. And I guess the reason that Moses had said what he said in the Old Testament is probably because he was doing the best that he could with what he had at the time. And, you know, he wasn't the Messiah, and Jesus was, and so then that's how things all happened. And even Peter, who saw Jesus himself and ate supper with him, still denied him, because he's not Christ. He's not able to do that. He doesn't have enough faith. There's no way for us to have that much faith. So I stumbled because I didn't have enough faith, and I was angry and embittered because I didn't have enough faith. And then I kept persisting anyway, because I was like, I can't accept that. There's got to be something else. And so that's when I found that passage. And I think now I can accept Christianity again, because it really did shake my faith there for a long time. But yeah, so that's what Jesus came here to do, is to teach us that one commandment, not a whole laundry list of things to do with your slaves.